small handgun was found underneath the body of the father.
New information is coming to light tonight in the shooting of 6 family members here in West Valley City. It all happening in a home right behind me here. Thanks for joining us for 2 News at 6 tonight. I'm Heidi Hatch. Glad you're with us. This is a difficult story. Police tonight saying they believe the father from this home shot his wife and his 4 children. The only survivor in all of this, the 17-year-old son, found by a family member yesterday who came to check on the family. He was found in the family's garage bleeding with a severe head injury. Tonight, he is in critical condition. We do have team coverage for you back at the station tonight. We have Wendy Halloran and also Brian Schnee working on background from this family and what we know about any possible history they have with them. And live in West Valley tonight, Kristen McPeak is at the police station. Brian Malahy also in the neighborhood. He spent the day talking to community members and those who live closest to this family. And Brian, was there anyone you found who really knew this family?
No one that I spoke to today. I spoke to several neighbors, and while they were not close, they say they did not have a poor impression of this family that lived and died here.
Late afternoon, additions to a small memorial at the family home.
I am still in shock.
Neighbor Camille Pania says she was outside the house.
My heart is just very heavy.
When police moves signaled the weight of what happened.
They kind of took a few seconds and they came out and they kind of immediately got the caution tape.
This family was so quiet.
Herman de Casa remembered a playful dad with his kids.
It's a very nice father. I don't know exactly what happened. I'm feeling so sad.
Now people are driving past the house, those who knew the dead, those who did not.
I wonder if she already had her Christmas ready for her children. And she probably did, you know. That's what us mothers do.
Christmas decorations are up among some of the neighbors tonight, but it is a somber feeling here in the neighborhood. Live in West Valley, Brian Malahy, KUTV 2 News.
Brian, thank you. Many heavy hearts tonight. I think many of us thinking about our own neighborhoods and the families we see every day, and that you really don't know the struggles that go on behind those 4 walls. Next, we want to go to Kristen McPeak. She is live for us at the West Valley City Police Department with more on what happens next in this horrific investigation.
Police believe this was a murder-suicide, but they still have more forensic investigations to do here. And so police were called to that home on Tuesday and found the bodies of those 2 little girls and their mother in a bedroom. They found the father and son in the living room. A gun believed to be the weapon was found under the father's body. The surviving teen son discovered in the garage. I asked police if they were aware of any calls to the home for domestic violence or anything in the past. West Valley police say they have yet to find any evidence of what motivated this.
This is one of the difficult parts where we want answers. We want to understand everything, but being able to understand it and understand it correctly is going to take time.
Now, they believed that the shooting happened over the weekend. Once again, they're still going to do that forensic evidence to really pin down exactly when that happened. But just imagine over a few days what had happened there, and they're still looking into that evidence. We'll continue to stay on top of it, and I'll send it back out to you.
All right, Kristen, thank you. Our thoughts are with the many police officers who are working this case as well, many of them parents, and seeing that awful scene and having to process it to continue that investigation. We want to go back to the studio and more continuing on this investigation and what happens next with Mark Cobell. Mark?
Heidi, thank you very much. Big question as to why West Valley City Police did not go into the house on Oxford Avenue a lot sooner. Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Halloran digging into that aspect of the case for us today. And Wendy, what did you find out?
Well, Mark, West Valley City Police who went into that home forced to deal with the shocking reality of loss of life had to back out of the house after finding the bodies. Why? It all boils down to the Fourth Amendment. On Monday, West Valley City Police conducted a welfare check. Officers looking through windows finding no signs of an emergency.
So when they looked in the windows, they talked to the neighbors. all of those sorts of things. None of that provided any sort of evidence that would be enough for us to enter a home without a warrant.
West Valley City Police did not have what is known as exigent circumstances, meaning evidence someone was in danger or evidence of a crime, so they could not enter the home. The next day, when the wife failed to show up for work, a family member went into the garage and found the 17-year-old boy who was shot and called police.
They went into the home, saw that there were dead persons in there, but they couldn't do much searching from there.
The Fourth Amendment requires warrants for searches as a safeguard against unreasonable searches and seizures by the government.
They would have to go back into the home and obtain property and evidence. They would need to get a warrant for that.
Nathan Evershed is a former prosecutor practicing as a criminal defense attorney.
Once those exigent circumstances are removed, then they have to remove themselves from the home, wait for a search warrant to be drafted, approved by a judge in order to go back in and obtain other evidence.
West Valley City Police got that search warrant from a judge just before 8 p.m. Tuesday night. Evershed says there is also another reason due to the lone survivor, the 17-year-old boy.
A crime down the road that could be connected to anybody that's living. The only way for that to survive scrutiny in a court is to make sure that all the requirements were laid out. And if police go inside and they're not with the permission of a warrant from a court and they find evidence, then that could be kicked out in court.
You know, I tried to locate a copy of the search warrant on court records to see what the contents of it are, but it is not yet available. Mark?
All right, Wendy, thank you. Gun violence, something we're all too familiar with. The Gun Violence Archive. It actually tracks shootings and incident reports from across the country, and our Brian Schnee is on the live desk with some of the latest information from across the country and in Utah, and some of the numbers are troubling, Brian.
Mark, they are. So far this year, there have been 643 murder-suicide incidents reported all across the country, which is what police in West Valley City suspect was the case in this recent incident. Some other data from the archive shows there have been 491 mass shootings in the United States, including the one earlier this week at a school in Madison, Wisconsin. Of those mass shootings this year, 30 have been classified as mass murders. This year, there have also been over 16,000 homicides, with nearly 1,400 children killed under the age of 17. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the data here in Utah. This map, courtesy of the trace.org, shows the location of over 1,200 shootings across the state from 2014 to 2023. And in that time, 665 people have been killed. If we go ahead and shorten that window to 2020 to 2023, you can see there's been 547 shootings with 313 people killed. Tough to talk about those numbers, all resembling lives lost here, Mark. So very difficult to look at just the data in this circumstance.
It is. All right, Brian, thank you very much. Our coverage continuing tonight on this tragic situation in West Valley City. I want to welcome in Kim Wool from the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. Kim, first and foremost, this has affected a lot of people because of the time of year, just the horrendous crime, and of course children were involved. If somebody's feeling despondent or depressed, they should probably reach out and talk to somebody, right?
They should talk to anyone, a professional, family, friends, whatever their support system is. This is really not something for individuals, families, communities to process in silence. And so this is something that we really do hope that if you are triggered, if you're hurting, if you are just having trouble processing, we must talk through this.
Kim, if I'm of the mindset that I might want to hurt myself or somebody else, it's probably hard for me to diagnose myself. But people in the inner circle, what should they look for? What are some of the red flags to look for if you think somebody that you know is having problems?
Any type of suicidal ideology, any type of, final acts, giving away possessions, quitting jobs, not taking care of yourself, dark thoughts. Most of us know our close circle, rather well. And so when we see changes, ask. Yeah. It's only going to hurt if we don't ask.
And Kim, also, you have I think I counted 15 different resources for people who might need help, where they can get help. Where do they go? Where do they turn? What should they do first?
So the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition has a hotline, and that is a statewide hotline. So you mentioned the 15. Well, those are domestic violence service providers. They're located throughout the state of Utah,
Right.
along the Wasatch Front and rural communities. It does happen. So if you have any concerns, reach out to a local provider. If you don't know, then reach out to us, the statewide, and we can get you connected. And that's for victims as well as people who feel that they are heading down a path and they are using this type of power and control. We can get them resources as well.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have the number off the top of your head?
It's 1-800-597-LINK, L-I-N-K. It's confidential. So for survivors, for perpetrators, for family and friends, anyone who has concerns.
Kim, we so appreciate the work you do. This has been a tough couple of days, but thank you for coming in and talking to us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Kim. And remember, always, like we said, if you or somebody you know is experiencing domestic violence, there is help out there. Kim just mentioned it. You can contact the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The numbers we put up on your screen for you. You can also visit safeutah.edu. If the danger is immediate, always, of course, call 911. Stay with 2 News. We continue to work this developing story. Head to KUTV.com for the very latest information. Download the 2 News mobile app for breaking push alerts. As we get updates on the investigation, we'll get them to you.